We are trying to give food to the people of Gaza. No foreign army in the history of the world
That's a lie.
has taken care of an enemy population the degree to which Israel has taken care. I was there on the humanitarian. I was there on the ground. When was the last time you were in Gaza?
It's been 11 weeks of full
Cenk, when were you in Gaza? Cenk, when were you in Gaza? Scott, when were you in Gaza? The new plan is to go into Gaza, take over all of Gaza, and enable food centers, and then destroy Hamas. Again, I will say, this is the only thing that will provide a long-term...
Doing the third right.
You're
doing
Not only about Israel.
I can't
you are
stand
wrong
this propaganda.
About the Gazan
You're
people.
The one starving
the Gazan
babies.
people have
Don't
died in the streets trying to tell you that Hamas is at fault. Allah Akbar, kill Hamas. Allah Akbar, Hamas are the terrorists.
Have you no decency?
Brace yourself, because what you're about to witness isn't a debate, it's an ambush of truth. Cenk Uygur, Scott Horton, and Piers Morgan, out of all people, are going to corner Israel's IDF spokesman, Doron Spilman, and expose the propaganda in real time. Spilman walks in armed with tired talking point, Holocaust deflection, and decades-old distractions. But what he doesn't expect, a total collapse of his narrative under the weight of his own contradictions. Babies are starving, Gaza is burning, and instead of accountability, all we get are excuses. This isn't journalism, this is Judgment Day for Israeli hypocrisy, and it starts here now.
If Trump, and it's in the New York Times today, Trump himself says the Palestinians are starving under, it's been an 11-week full blockade since the last time they let any aid in. Little babies, it's on the front page of antiwar.com today. Babies are literally starving to death there daily now, along with the bombing campaign. If Trump wants a new Middle East, where everybody can get along and trade and be prosperous at peace, he has to pick up the phone and tell Netanyahu to stop this right now. And Piers Morgan, that is all it would take.
Yeah, and, you know, he's edging, I would say he's edging closer, just as I think he's edging closer to running out of patience with Vladimir Putin. Doron, you wanted to come in here.
Yeah, I think, first of all, if we want to save the babies of Gaza, which we do, the first thing we have to do is to get rid of Hamas. I mean, everything we're saying, ceasefires, why are they supporting Israel, we should pull out. Do we really want to leave 1.8 million people under the rule of a tyrannic terrorist regime that took dozens of billions of dollars paid for by U.S. taxpayers, by British taxpayers, in terms of building tunnels. Let me just finish, please. I'll let you 1 second. Let me just finish. I can, please. Building tunnels, building a terror network. To say that they came and attacked Israel because of the Abraham Accords, all one has to do is open up the 1988 Hamas charter, in which it calls Israelis Nazis. It says every tree will call out, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill the Jews. It talks incessantly about how the Jews started World War I, started World War II. 1 month before October 7th, by the way, you had Mahmoud Abbas, and I'm reading right now on page 14, that says, they say Hitler killed the Jews. This is my new book. And the Europe hated the Jews because they were Jews. Not true. It was clearly explained they fought the Jews because of their money lending. Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian Authority head, is creating, propagating, there was no Holocaust, there's no Jewish Christian history in Israel. They erased the people, and that is why they attacked on October 7th. They need no reason, which is why they launched 30,000 rockets at Israel before October 7th and engaged in multi-border attacks before October 7th. To say that this is because the Abraham Accord is to simply try to clear
let
the
me ask you a question. Before I go to Cenk, let me ask you, Doron, let me ask you a question.
And this is the forum that need to be called out.
Doron, on October the 7th, how many members of Hamas were there?
About 25,000.
Okay, so you've had what?
Many now?
You've had nearly 20 months, one of the, well, the most superior military force in the whole Middle East. You've had 20 months. You've rained down bombs which are 3, 5, I think it's 5 or, I can't remember the exact statistic, multiple times the tonnage of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You've rained it down on an area much smaller than those two cities combined, and yet you still haven't eliminated Hamas. You don't seem to be any nearer eliminating them because you still can't get the hostages back. At some point, you have to admit, don't you, that you cannot do this. This strategy is simply not working. All you're doing is killing more and more civilians. Where is the victory? You have failed. The most superior fighting force in the Middle East has failed to take out a ragbag collection of 25,000 terrorists. How? How have you failed so badly? You failed by letting them into Israel on October the 7th, and you failed to eliminate them now. And in fact, all the intelligence suggests that for every one that you have killed in Hamas, they've been replaced by 5 more. That's what I read at the weekend. Now, maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's poor information.
The entire command structure, including this last week, of Hamas has been destroyed. Hamas right now is operating as individual units and hiding behind civilians in Gaza, hiding behind the hostages. If we place as a goal, we haven't destroyed Hamas because we haven't gotten our hostages back. The reason we haven't destroyed Hamas are 2. First of all, they're hiding behind our hostages, and most of us don't want to just blow right through our hostages to kill them. That is the most cynical use of a terror group. They took 250 people, raped and killed and executed them in order to tell the IDF to keep away. The other reason why this didn't finish so quickly, Piers, is the root of this conversation. We are trying to give food to the people of Gaza. No foreign army in the history of the world has taken care of an enemy population the degree to which Israel is taking care. I was there on the humanitarian. I was there on the ground. When was the last time you were in Gaza?
It's been 11 weeks of full
Cenk, when were you in Gaza? Cenk, when were you in Gaza? Scott, when were you in Gaza? When were you there?
It's been 11 weeks.
When were you there? I was there. I was there following October 7th on the ground at the humanitarian corridor, helping Gazans reach the humanitarian Amaswi zone, and we are being fired on by Hamas. The reason why we haven't destroyed them is we are giving food to these people, and we all know that 50% of that food goes to Hamas. They recruit their new fighters, and therefore, the new plan is, Piers, let me just finish. I want to let Cenk respond. The new plan is to go into Gaza, take over all of Gaza, and enable food centers, and then destroy Hamas. Again, I will say, this is the only thing that will provide a long-term benefit for Israelis and the people in Gaza that are living under this tyrannical regime. Let us destroy them. Do not make any excuses.
All right, Cenk, your final word.
Okay. All right, so first of all, this guy does nothing but propaganda. Almost everything he said was a lie. They're not there to help the Gazans. Does anyone on planet Earth believe this preposterous liar that the Israelis are trying to help the people of Gaza? And he said there's 25,000 people in Hamas before the war started. So there's 2.2 million people in Gaza overall. All their homes have been destroyed, all their hospitals, all their schools, everything has been razed and destroyed by Israel. That is not helping them, that is butchering them. They've killed over 53,000 people at a bare minimum, injured over 120,000. They've been starving them for 74 days. They finally decided to let some food in now because of what Netanyahu called optics. They were losing the PR war because people were literally seeing babies starve to death. The moms had run out of breast milk because of malnutrition, and there's obviously no baby food because Israel, the monstrous terrorist state of Israel, did not allow any food in. And then, but there are good people in Israel, and there are good supporters of Israel that normally like Israel. And by the way, I don't hate Israel normally. I want it to be a safe haven, but I don't want it to murder and occupy and oppress the Palestinians.
Does David Duke want Israel to be a safe haven?
And he just,
where have you been with the protests on campus?
This guy, of course,
you like Israel.
So Piers,
what are
you
you
get
talking about? You like
they
Israel?
do on your show where they won't let the other side
Hamas.
talk.
Right now,
and they just start talking over them.
Yeah,
you
I'm sorry, Doron. Can you let
Doron?
We let you speak. Doron, you're allowed to make your comments. Let Cenk just finish his, please.
Okay, so if you actually care about Israel, you would not enable their worst instincts. Rabbi Kareev he's a member of Knesset, and he did a speech where he said, it is not in Jewish tradition that we starve babies. And if you think it is, you're insulting Jewish tradition more than the worst enemy of Israel. And the rabbi is right. Rabbi Jacobs here in America said, what are we doing? For God's sake, let them eat. Look at the image that we're putting out there of Israel. Now, and this guy comes in here with a long history lesson. Brother, we know that. And what happened to the Jews throughout history is terrible and should never happen again. But it should also never happen to the Palestinians or any other people again. And so when you say, oh, well, back then this happened to us, so it's okay when we do it to Palestinians.
But
it
you
is
want to leave
not
Hamas in power.
okay when you do it to Palestinians. Again, here he goes again. Here he goes again. Look, brother, a lot of people are allowed to say never again, but not you. You're not allowed to say it because you're actively saying that you want to conquer the Palestinians, you want to starve the Palestinians, and you've murdered enough of their children. For God's sake, let our people go. What is wrong with you? Israel has become what it most feared and despised. It has become that, and it breaks my heart. It isn't just the Palestinians that are suffering. The people of Israel, I'm asking you, is this who you are? Is this who you are? Is this the kind of people you want to be, that you starve babies to death and the whole world sees it with their own eyes? Why do you want the whole world to hate Israel? How does that help Israel? And it doesn't help any of my Jewish friends or family.
Hamas,
so they do not do it in their name.
You're not just trying to we've got to end it here. We've got to end it here. We've got to end it here. All I would say, Doron, you are not destroying Hamas. There's no evidence you're destroying Hamas. Every time they release a hostage,
of course we're destroying Hamas.
Really?
If we have the green light and continued aid that reached the people and not Hamas, Hamas will disappear in 3 months. We talked about President Biden.
They're never going to kill enough Palestinians to satiate them. This has nothing to do with Hamas.
I don't think this war strategy.
There's 2
All right, we're
million
going to leave it there.
In charge of
We're going to leave it there, but there is no actual evidence you are defeating. There is no evidence you are defeating Hamas, and that is my problem with what is going on. If it was clear evidence you were winning, great. There isn't.
Said you cannot destroy the Nazis. We would be saluting the Third Reich today if we listened to those people. You are trying to convince Israel and the world we can't destroy Hamas. Well, you are wrong.
You're doing the Third Reich.
You're
doing
Not
it.
only about Israel.
I can't
you are
stand
wrong
this propaganda.
about the Gazan
You're
people.
The one starving
the Gazan
babies.
people have
Don't
died in the streets trying to tell you that Hamas is at fault. Allah Akbar, kill Hamas. Allah Akbar, Hamas are the terrorists.
Have you no decency?
Doron Spilman showed up like every other state mouthpiece, smug, deflective, and drunk on denial. He regurgitated outdated Hamas talking points, waved around Holocaust trauma like a shield, and tried to gaslight the world into believing Israel's starvation campaign is some kind of mercy mission. But it didn't land, not this time. Piers Morgan dismantled the military failure. Cenk obliterated the moral collapse. And what's clear now is that no amount of spin can hide what's happening in Gaza. You cannot defend your way into bombing children. You cannot protect by starving mothers. The world is watching, and this time, it's not looking away. Now ask yourself, are you on the side of truth or on the side of scripted lies? Drop your thoughts below, share this video, and let them know the era of blind obedience is over. Catch you later.